We put the baseball season to bed. We already are in week 8 in the league where they play for pay. 2-1 last week, which I think was a victory because it was not an easy week. I would settle for the same this week because, I do not think it's an easy week. It is a hard week to pick dogs, and I stayed away from the 2 big games because they're both sitting on 3s. Everyone in the world likes the Pats, and everyone's talking about Brady, Steelers. When everyone talks about that like it's a given, it worries me. So, and I think the Steelers, if they throw it, can give them a hard time. So maybe I'm not on that one, and I'm not on Eagles, Cowboys. I find both teams a little inconsistent for my liking. So 3 games, 3 favorites, not cheap lines, not cheap games. You're going to have to reach a little bit here. It's expensive, but here we go. These are my 3 for the week. Game number 1, I'm going with the Giants -10 against the Dolphins. One is the Dolphins are just so putrid, and I think everything coming out of there is so negative. Matt Moore, we think he's going to play. They did sign J.P. Losman at quarterback. Matt Moore has taken a serious beating. He might not play because he's taken such a beating. His ribs are so bad after just a couple of weeks at quarterback because he's getting pounded. Dolphins are 0-6. They've lost 9 games in a row. They blew a 15-point lead in the last 2 minutes last week. They don't want to win. They don't want to win, and they easily will quit. They quit against the Jets, who are their arch rivals. How much will it take the Giants for them to quit? Now, Tom Coughlin usually has his teams ready in October. The reason why I like the Giants in this game is because what happened against Seattle. It will not happen again in the same season. That does not happen twice. They are on their best behavior this week. They have heard the word Seattle 1,000 times this week. You don't catch a team napping when they have already been caught napping. Okay, they have been reminded and prodded and kicked and reminded a million times. And with their pass rush and their passing attack, sprinkle in Bradshaw, you're going to get a big Giant effort. And the Giants, if they put up a big quarter, can get the Dolphins to quit before halftime. Just put up too early, they'll go home. Don't let them hang around. The Jets let them hang around for a quarter, and they still went home in the second half. It doesn't take much to get them to go home. Make them go home early. Giants -10, game number 1. Game number 2, the look ahead here bothered me, but not strong enough. There's 2 distinct reasons why I am going with the Ravens this week -12.5. Number 1, Arizona's coming completely across the country, and they are a beat-up team. Beanie Wells has been hurt. The offensive line's a disaster. Colt gets killed every week. The team has completely fallen apart, and Flacco needs confidence going into the Steeler game. Here's the perfect team to give it to him. They are a dreadful team in pass defense, as bad as anybody. Go look at the Steelers last week. Steelers couldn't move it against Jacksonville. They went out and played Arizona. They're completing passes all over the field. Why? Because that's how bad the Cardinals are right now. Cardinals are 1-5. They're dreadful. Nothing's working on either side of the ball. The Ravens, the only reason I didn't love this game is the look ahead. They play the Steelers next week in prime time, but they are coming off a dreadful game where they did not have a first down until almost halftime against Jacksonville. You know they got their attention this week. They need a confidence builder going into the Steeler game. Here comes Arizona across the country. You know what? If Arizona plays well, this game's 31-17. If they don't, this game's, 27-3. Ravens -12.5, game number 2. Game number 3, it's as much an anti-Cleveland pick as anything, but I'm going with the Niners. And I haven't picked the Niners this year, so I haven't been on the bandwagon. So when you're not there for the wedding, you don't want to be there for the funeral. But I don't think I'll be there for the funeral this week. Okay? The Niners are rolling. They are believing. They are doing it on both sides of the ball. Browns aren't any good. Last week, we know they beat the Seahawks, but in a game that was almost embarrassingly boring. They are a bad 3-3 team. Now they're making their second trip to the West Coast in 3 weeks, and they're banged up. Hillis, game time decision, may not play. They are banged up in key spots. They don't have a lot of offense. Yes, they've won 3 games, but look at who they've beaten. They've beaten the Dolphins, who haven't won a game, the Colts, who haven't won a game, and Seattle. They're not going to beat any good teams, and they're traipsing across the country to play a 5-1 team, okay? I think this game can get out of hand. Harbaugh has already showed you that he doesn't take any prisoners. San Francisco is ready to roll. I think this is a very tough trip on every account. It's 8.5 points. Yeah, it's not cheap. Again, none of these games are cheap, but I think the Niners win it and win it comfortably and maybe win it big. So the 3 picks, I hate giving you all favorites, but it's the kind of week it is this week. Giants -10, Ravens -12.5, Niners -8.5 to see if we can keep the roll going. We're 13-6 on the season. Let's see if we can have another big week. Ravens -12.5, Giants -10, Niners -8.5. The picks for week 8 on the Fan.